Good afternoon. Welcome to Akwaaba Yoga. Hope everything is on. Yeah, everything's sweet. Yeah, today is Sunday, the 4th of July. I was going to say June, 4th of July. The year's flying by. I hope everyone is well. My name is Mark, and we'll be going through a 45-minute session today, which will be focusing on the upper body. It'll be a nice flow, but focus on the upper body, which will look to build strength and also be stretching it out. So if this is the first time you join in, please do go at your pace and listen to your body. Feel free to come to child's pose at any point. If you're watching some playback, same. Enjoy the practice. Being Queen P here. Well done to Queen P. You've had some, I don't know how you do it with your walks. Epic. I hope that you find this beneficial. More on the upper body state, but hopefully it's still of use. Let's get cracking. It's 12:30. Let's get cracking. So we are going to start. Let's start in a seated position. So either on your knees or come cross-legged, whichever feels more comfortable. I'm going to sit on a block a little bit. Cool. So we are going to start with some movements to the shoulders and also the wrists. We'll be using the wrists a fair bit. We don't normally warm them up sufficiently. So first, I'm coming to shoulders just by coming into some shoulder shrugs. So on the inhale, take your shoulders up to your ears and draw them back. On the exhale and down. So on the inhale, take them up. Take them all the way back, really exaggerate the roll and drop it down. And just repeat that on another 2 or 3 occasions. So it's a slow wind up through the shoulders. Going back to down, to front, to up. As you come back, you'll find a space in the front of your chest. As you come forward, you'll find a space in your upper back, in between your scapula, your shoulder blades. And let's reverse it and go the other way. So we're going back first, creating space in front of our chest, up to the ears. And we'll roll the shoulders forward and down. Do another 3 breaths. I found this to be really useful because I've had a shoulder impingement on my left side, and it's really important to find space in your upper back. So I found this really useful and beneficial. 1 more roll, and then let your arms be heavy. Let them flop down either side of you. We are going to, on the inhale, take your arms up so they are parallel with the mat. Just hold it here. On your inhale, you're going to flip the palms up to the ceiling and shine your chest up to the sky. Take your gaze up. And on the exhale, you're going to round in the shoulders. Take your palms to the face in the back of the room. Make you find the space on the top of your back. And reverse it. On the inhale, turn the palms up and back. Your chest is shining high. And on the exhale, you're rolling your arms forward. Let's do this for 2 more times. Inhale to come up. And exhale to roll forwards. Try and sit with a nice tall spine. For the last one, inhale to roll up. Take your gaze up towards the ceiling. And exhale to roll the arms forward. And then drop your arms down either side of you once again. For the next stretch, we're going to take our arm across our body. Let's come to stretch for the front of the arm. So start with the left arm first. Take your left arm out in front of you, face the palm up towards the ceiling. Take your right hand, just take a grip of your left hand, and then bend into the wrist. So it comes a stretch for the wrist and for the front of the arm, and you're just taking your arm just across your body. We're just going to hold it there for a few breaths. You're not trying to break your wrist here. It's not trying to take your wrist off, but just feel that stretch in the front of your wrist. Probably for your forearm, your triceps, you're longing out your triceps. and release. Let's go for the other side. So the right arm goes forward, the palm facing the sky, taking the left hand, wrapping it around the inside of the right hand, and then drawing the arm across the front of your body towards the diagonal. Just come into a stretch. And then release out. To finish up, we are going to, let's lift the arms up on the inhale. Take your gaze up in between the hands towards the ceiling. And on the exhale, bend into that left arm. And then take the right hand up and over. And if you can, just grab the top of the left elbow. Again, try not to drop into your neck here. Try and sit nice and tall in your back. And then start to draw your left elbow over towards the right side of the room. It's using the resistance of the right hand against the left elbow to help draw you over. So you also get a nice stretch through your intercostal muscles down the left side of your body, some muscles in between your ribs. And come back towards center. Drop the arms down. And on the inhale, take them back up. Take the other side. So this time we're bending to the right elbow, taking the left hand and grabbing onto the top of the right elbow. On the inhale, sit nice and tall, and on the exhale, you're taking that elbow over towards the left side of the room. Here for another 2 breaths. Another 1. Come back towards center and release. Release the arms down to the mat. Give your arms a nice shake. Roll out through the neck. And if you're on your knees or your seated position, let's turn and face the front of our mats. And we're going to come into a tabletop position. So the knees are stacked underneath our hips, our hands underneath our shoulders. And from here, we're going to take our hands and point them out towards the sides of the room. So take our left hand and just turn it 45 degrees, point towards the left side, and take your right hand, point it 45 degrees, so it's facing the right side of the room. From here, we're just going to just move the body, motion the body from left to right. So similar to how when we drew the arm across the front of the body, we're just finding a stretch through the back of the wrist here. And let's stop and come into center. Let's take the hands, if you can, a further 45 degrees. So your left hand is pointing towards the back of the room now. And turn your right hand, again, say 45 degrees. I might say 90 degrees, it's not 45 degrees. Wasn't so good at maths at school. And from here, we're just taking a bum a little bit back towards the back of the mat and then coming forward. So there's a bit more of an intense stretch through the back of the wrist here. You're not going too deep, but when you do go back, see if you can hold it for a couple of breaths. And then come back forwards. Another 2. Another 1. And then bring yourself back towards center. We're going to turn the hands, and get my maths right, 180 degrees. And now the hands are pointing back forwards. I'm going to take a few cat and cows to warm up the upper back. Because on the inhale, take the belly down, take your gaze up towards the front diagonal, and your tailbone goes up towards the ceiling. And on the exhale, round through your upper back, press your hands into the mat, and take your gaze to your navel, and hold it here for 1 breath, and reverse it out. Inhale to take your belly down, your tailbone goes high, soften into the shoulders, and exhale to come to your angry cat pose. Rounding in the upper back, taking a gaze to the navel. And 1 more. Inhale to come up. And exhale. Just to round in your upper back. Push your hands into the mat. And release. From here, we're going to curl the toes under. Press our hands into the mat. We're going to come up for a first downward facing dog.
So this is the first time we're coming into our legs today. So just walk out through your feet, so come up high on the left toes and the right toes, and just start to stretch out through your calf muscles, bending into each knee. And you're energetically just drawing your heels down towards the mat. This is going to be a good one for Queen P and D-Man. Stretch out your legs after your exploits this week. And when you're ready, come into stillness, but drawing your heels towards the mat, taking your gaze in between your feet, at the back of the mat, soften into the shoulders, roll the shoulders away from the ears, take your tailbone high as you find yourself coming into down facing dog. Take a deep inhale in and exhale out. I'm going to hold you for another 2 breaths. And one more. On your next breath, come high on the toes. We're not stepping forwards. We're just going to lean the body forwards. So taking more weight into our arms. I'm going to hold it here for a count of 3, 2, 1. And then start to take your bum a bit further back. Soften into your heels and come back into your down facing dog. Take another 2 of those. So all we're doing is coming up high on the toes. When you can't get any higher, just start to lean the body forward. So taking more weight into your hands. You're really engaging your core here for a count of 3, 2, 1. And start to draw your bum back towards the back of the room. Soften the heels back down towards the mat. Final one. Again, inhale, come up high on the toes. And start to lean the body forward. See if you can get a bit further forwards. All the weight's coming to your hands for a count of 3, 2, 1. And soften to take your heels back down towards the mat. Once again, come up high on the toes and start to tiptoe the feet forwards. And let's meet in ragdoll, Uttanasana at the front of the mat. We're just heavy through the body, swaying from side to side. And start to sway the body up, 1 vertebra at a time. Roll your shoulders back. Let your head come up last. Let's bring the feet together. We're in a Tadasana pose, a manta pose, facing the palms forward. Take a deep breath in. And exhale to release. Enjoy the practice. On the inhale, let's take the arms up towards the ceiling. Bring the hands into prayer at the top. And on the exhale, start to draw your prayer through your chest. Bend from the hips as you come down for your Uttanasana, your forward fold. Let your body be heavy, let the arms be heavy. Let's come up for a halfway lift. Hands on the shins, roll the shoulders back, lengthen out through the arms and the back of the neck. And on the exhale, soften to release the body down in Uttanasana. We'll come up for another half sun. So on the inhale, taking the arms back up towards the ceiling. And on the exhale, drawing the hands to the chest. On the inhale, we're going high. On the exhale, bend from the hips. Take the prayer through the chest to come all the way down for Uttanasana. Inhale to come up for a halfway lift. Roll the shoulders back. Exhale, soften to release. Draw the stretch of the back of the legs here. On the inhale, bend into the knees. Let's go high the arms once again. Take the prayer towards the top of the ceiling. On the exhale, bring the prayer into the center of the chest. On the inhale, we go high the hands. Take your gaze to the top. On the exhale, bend from the hips as you come all the way down. Inhale to come to a halfway lift. Hands on the shins. Roll the shoulders back. Lengthen out through the lower back, through the back. On the exhale, soften to release. Just want to come up again. Bend into the knees. Take the arms up towards the ceiling. On the exhale, hands to prayer. Meet your hands at the center of the chest. For the final one, inhale, go high with the hands. Exhale to bend from the hips as you come all the way down. meeting in Uttanasana. Let's come to a halfway lift, roll the shoulders back. On exhale, bend into the knees and take your hands, place them at the front of the mat. You're going to step back with that left foot all the way towards the back of the mat. You're high in the left toes. Drop the knee to the mat, uncoil your left toes. When you feel grounded, your right foot's at the front of the mat. Keeping the bend in that right knee, start to lift the torso up off that right thigh. We're going to meet in our runner's lunge. We're coming to a stretch with the left hip flexor, but really going to take a nice back bend here and open up through the front of the chest. So stretch out through the front of the body. So when you're ready, inhale to take your arms up towards the ceiling. You're not collapsing your lower back. You're keeping your torso nice and tall. Engage through your transverse abdominis here. That muscle going along the front of your abs. We're here for a count of 3, a count of 2, a count of 1. On the next inhale, start to open up through the arms and see if you've got a back bend here. So you're going up and back as opposed to just collapse into your lower back. So let's go up with the torso, engage through your core, and open up for the front of the chest. And on the exhale, let's come back, bring the hands into prayer in the center of the chest. On the inhale, sit nice and tall, and on the exhale, I'm going to twist over towards the right side. It's taking the outside of your tricep over to the outside of the right knee. Keeping your hands in prayer if it's there for you, towards the center of the chest, and you're just twisting the body towards the right side of the room here. Stretching out through your lower back. You got one more breath. On the inhale, let's come back, taking the arms back up towards the ceiling. And on the exhale, drop the hands at the front of the mat. We're going to take that right leg and swing it all the way back towards the back of the mat. So our right leg meets the left. We're finding ourselves in our tabletop. We're going to come into some modified press-ups here before we meet in what we're going to meet in high plank, Kumbhakasana. So let's start by taking some modified press-ups. So start to lean the body forward and start to bend into the elbows, tucking the elbows in towards the ribs, bring the chest towards the mat, keep your neck nice and long, and then press back up for 1. Just go to your edge. You don't have to go all the way to the mat if it's not quite there for you today. Inhale to come down, exhale to come up for 2. Take another few of these. Inhale to come down, exhale to come up for 3. As you come down, feel as if you're drawing your shoulder blades together. And on the exhale, focus on pressing your hands into the mat to come up. We're going to take 2 more. So inhale to come down, hold for 1 breath, and exhale to push back up. We're going to take 1 more. Inhale to come down, exhale to come up. From here, we're going to curl the toes under, press our toes into the mat as we come up and meet in our downward facing dog. Take a deep inhale in and exhale out. On the next inhale, come up high on the toes. Let's jump or step forwards and meet at the front of the mat. Feet hip distance apart. Let's come into a halfway lift, so hands on the shins. Lengthen up through the arms and roll the shoulders back. Keep your neck nice and long. On the exhale, soften to release. On the inhale, bend into the knees and hands all up towards the ceiling. Take your prayer up to the sky. And on the exhale, bring your hands, your press to the center of your chest. On the inhale, going high of the hands. Taking your gaze up. On the exhale, bend on the hips as we come down for our Uttanasana. Feel that stretch through the back of the legs. Let's come for a halfway lift. Remember to lengthen out through the back. Take your gaze just beyond the front of the mat. On exhale, bend into the knees as much as you need to. Take your hands to the mat. Lift up the right leg this time and drop it at the back of the mat. We're meeting with our toes, high on our toes, before dropping onto our right knee. Our left foot is at the front of the mat, just inside of the left hand, and curl the right toes. When you're ready, start to lift your torso up off that left thigh and get ready for our runner's lunge on the right side. So this time I'm coming to stretch into our right hip flexor. So again, keeping the torso nice and high. Let's lift the arms up to the either side of the ears. And we're here for a count of 3 breaths. So inhale to lengthen. And on each exhale, just softening. See if you've got a bit more of a bend in that left knee to come a bit deeper into that right hip flexor. Here for another 2 breaths. Another 1. On your next inhale, again, we're going up with the torso and coming to a back bend. If you start to open up the arms towards the ceiling, open up the chest, gaze up towards the sky, and then come back towards center. Bring your hands into prayer towards the middle of the chest. You hide the torso on the inhale, lengthen, and on the exhale, we're going to just twist over towards the left side of the room. Again, the left, so the right elbow, the right tricep is sitting on the outside of the left thigh. We've got our hands in prayer in the center of our chest, so twisting from the lower back here. Here for another 2 breaths. 1 more breath. Inhale to lengthen, exhale, so you've got any more room to twist. On your next inhale, let's take our arms back towards the ceiling. And on the exhale, we're dropping our hands towards the front of the mat. And I'm going to take our left foot this time and swing it all the way back. So our left shin and the right shin are flat on the mat. So we're meeting again in our tabletop position. So our hands are underneath our shoulders, knees underneath our hips. We're going to come into another modified press up here. Either keep your shins down, or if you want to test your strength or your balance a bit more, as you lean the body forward, just lift up and come up high on the knees, bringing your toes together so your big toes touch. And on your next breath, start to bend into the elbows, bring the chest down, and press back up for 1, keeping the feet off the mat. So again, either leave your shins down or keep your feet high. Let's go for another 4. So on the inhale, bend into the elbows, bring the chest down. On exhale, pressing up. Inhale to come down. Exhale to press up. Let's go for another 3. Another 2. And 1 more. Press back up. Let's take the shins back down towards the mat. Maybe walk your hands a bit further back if you were leaning forward. Let's curl the toes under. Press the hands into the mat as we come up once again and meet together in our downward facing dog. Take a deep breath in through the nose and exhale out. From here, we're going to roll forwards into the toes and just walk the hands forward so you can meet in high plank. So the hands will come forward, maybe the toes will go back. We're meeting in our Kumbhakasana, our plank pose, and just rock forwards and back on the toes here. So our knees are off the mat, or if you want to take a modification, bring your knees down. So the knees up or knees down. I'm playing the core here, playing about balance. Just rocking forwards and back on the toes. Another 3.
another 2, another 1. Let's all take our knees down towards the mat, uncurl the toes, bend into the elbows, and bring our chest all the way down towards the mat. When we come to Sphinx pose, take our forearms forward and place our forearms on the mat. Our palms are facing down. Draw your heels together as opposed to letting them just flop out. So draw the heels together and feel as if you're putting your body through your chest. Through your chest. Doesn't make sense. Feel as if you're putting your chest through your arms, in between your arms. So as you do, your belly will start to lift off the mat a little. You feel you'll come into a nice stretch in your lower back as well. Soften into the shoulders and take your gaze straight ahead of you. Hold it for another 2 breaths. I'm not holding a breath. You're holding a pose. Another 1 breath. And then soften to release. Start to bring your hands underneath your shoulder blades. And from here, we're going to press up into our cobra. Then tucking the elbows in towards the chest. Or come up into our upward facing dog. Taking the knees off the mat. And on the exhale, curl the toes under. And once again, we're meeting in our downward facing dog. Take a deep inhale in for the nose. And exhale to release. From here, we're going to drop onto the knees. We're going to get ready for our dolphin pose. It's not one that we've done recently. So come onto your knees, uncurl your toes. Just come up with a torso for a second, and maybe if you haven't done this before, just watch me come into dolphin pose. So first, start by bringing you want to bring your forearms down onto the mat. Just test the gap between your arms. So take your hands to either elbow. So right hands to right elbow, left hand to left elbow, just to measure out your gap. That's the gap you want to keep in the middle. When you've got your gap measured out, take your forearms once again so they're flat on the mat. And your palms are flat on the mat. Let's see if you're coming into your down facing, we're going to curl your toes under. And start to press your feet into the mat so you can stay high on the toes. And then start to walk your legs forward as you come into dolphin. So this is a strong asana here. As you're bearing the weight in your forearms. Don't feel as if you're collapsing into your arms here. Really engage and press up with your forearms. Here for another 3 breaths. Another 2. Another 1. And start to drop onto your knees. Bring your feet together, your knees apart. And let's all meet in our child's pose. Let's bring your forehead towards the mat. Let your upper body be relaxed. And find yourself coming back into your breath. When I come into dolphin pose, again, and we're going to add 1 more layer. If you want to play around with your strength a bit more, if you want to try and level up, you can either keep it as you were or level up by lifting 1 leg towards the ceiling. And by lifting 1 leg, what this helps us to do is to, again, help build strength, but also prepare us for forearm balances in the future. So again, let's start by just measuring up the gap by taking opposite hands to opposite elbows. Once you've got your gap nicely established, take your forearms and the palms of your hand out in front of you. Your feet hip distance apart. Let's curl the toes under and press up.
And at any point, if you wanted to take a different modification, you can walk your feet back to take a bit more weight into your feet. Or if you want to just play with your strength more, walk your feet closer towards your elbows. So again, we're here for another 3 breaths. Let's make it 5 breaths. So we're going to take the one level up. So if you wanted to play with your balance and your strength, you can take your right leg up towards the ceiling. Engage for your core, really press into the mat here. Let's take the other side before we finish up. So bring the right foot back down. On the inhale, take the left foot up towards the ceiling for another 2 breaths. Another 1. Just bring both feet back down. Take the knees down to the mat, so your feet together, your knees are apart. Once again, let's meet in our child's pose. Take a deep inhale in and exhale through the mouth. Sigh it out. And again, let's take a deep inhale in and exhale out. And one more. Inhale in and exhale out. The next inhale, lift up from the floor. Let's come back into our tabletop. Our hands underneath our shoulders, knees underneath our hips. We're going to curl the toes under and meet in our downward facing dog. Take a deep breath in and exhale out. Let's come back into our Kumbhakasana, our plank pose. So maybe walk the feet back or walk the hands forward. Start to lengthen out through the body. We're pressing our heels towards the back of the room, so nice and long, engaging through the core. From here, we're going to drop down onto our right forearm. So again, if you wanted to take the modification, feel free to drop into the knees. Otherwise, drop into the right forearm. I'm going to come into side plank on the right forearm. So roll the body over towards the right. So you're opening up body towards the left side of the room. Once you feel you've got the balance, start to lift that left hand up off the mat. That's what we're playing about forearm plank on the left forearm, on the right forearm. Hold that for another 3 breaths. If you come to the modification, take your right hand to the mat instead. Let's come up off the forearm, come to the right shin, and open up the body again towards the left side of the room. If you're in your forearm plank, roll over and come back into forearm plank. So both forearms on the mat now. Swap forwards, back in the toes as you're playing with the core. On your next walk forwards, you're going to drop both heels over towards the left side of the room. You come up high into the right fingertips and taking the weight into your left forearm. And on the inhale, start to take that right arm up towards the ceiling. Even take your gaze up towards the sky, down towards the mat. For another 3 breaths. Again, if you want to take the modification here, come down to the left shin. Take your left arm off the mat, come into the left hand and open up the body. And then that'd be your modification. Here for another, let's say 2 breaths. Another 1 breath. Whichever modification you're in. Let's all meet in forearm plank. So we're high on the back toes. When our forearms here, on the inhale, come up onto the left hand and onto the right hand as we meet in our Kumbhakasana, our plank pose. On the inhale, walk forward onto the toes, bend into the elbows for a low plank. Let's press through the toes and come up for
our upward facing dog, taking our chest in between our arms, and on the exhale, curling our toes under. And we're going to meet in our downward facing dog. Let's take a deep inhale in and exhale out. And again, inhale in and exhale. So we lengthen that through the arms, taking our tailbone a bit high towards the ceiling. Let's all drop onto our knees here. Uncurl the toes. When I come into stretch through our shoulders. So let's start by coming to the right arm. So shift your body over towards the left side of your mat to start. We're going to come down, lying flat on our bellies here, and take your right arm out towards the right side of the room. So you're high on your left fingertips, which is just adjacent to your left shoulder. Just come into your chin. Your right forearm, your right arm is out towards the right side. The right palm is facing the floor. You're long in your body, and you're going to start to lift up through that left leg. Bend into your left knee. Press your weight into your left fingertips and start to take your left leg up and over so your left foot sits behind your right knee. You'll find that your right toes are now facing the left side of the room. And from here, you're coming into a nice stretch through your right shoulder. So just hold it here. So you're high on your left fingertips. Your right toes are facing the left side of the room. And the sole of your left foot might be flat on the mats. Your knees pointing up towards the ceiling. You have another 2 breaths. Another 1. So if you've got any tightness in your shoulders, it's a lovely one to just open up through the shoulders. It goes a bit deeper. You can also do something like this against the wall. And let's come back towards center. So you're lifting that left leg up and over again. And taking both legs long towards the back of the room. And start to draw in your right hand back onto the mat. And then let's just shift the body over towards the right side of the mat as we get ready for the other side. So this time on our right hands, we're high on the right fingertips, which just sits adjacent to our right shoulder. This time we're going long with that left arm, the left palm facing the floor. On the inhale, we're going to high with that right leg, pointing the feet towards the back of the room. Start to bend into that right knee. Take your weight into your right fingertips as you push yourself up. And as you do, your right foot comes up and over and just sits behind that left knee. So this time your left foot is pointing out towards the right side of the room. If you want to go a bit deeper, just press your fingertips a bit more into the mat. That helps you just open up further. It opens up the body more towards the right side of the room. Here for another 2 breaths. Another 1. And then start to release out of the pose by softening into the right fingertips. Roll the body over. And then find yourself coming flat on the mat once again. Let's take our hands so that underneath our shoulder blades, we're going to press up for our cobra pose here. Tucking the elbows into the ribs. And then find ourselves coming back into our down facing dog. So any which way you find yourself, coming back into that pose. Together we meet in our downward facing dog.
Before we finish up, we're going to come into just some shoulder taps. So I'm going to play with our balance a little bit again. We've done a stretch in the shoulders. Let's build a bit more strength before we finish up. So again, walk your feet back or your hands forward as we come into Kumbhakasana or plank pose. So again, if you wanted to take the modification, you can take your knees down towards the mat. Otherwise, we're high in the knees. Swap forwards, back in the toes, and then start to come with some shoulder taps. So you're going to start by taking the weight into the left hand, and the right hand goes to left shoulder, and then switch. Left hand to right shoulder and switch. Let's keep going. I don't know how long I'm going to count these for. You're switching, taking the opposite hand to opposite elbow. Not only just helping to build strength in your upper body, it's also a great exercise to engage the core, which ultimately helps with stability and protection of our lower back. Let's go for another 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's drop onto our knees, uncurl the toes, start to walk the hands back. See your bum go towards your heels. Let's turn the body round. We're going to go long. With the legs at the front on the mat. Give your legs a shake out. We haven't done too much in the legs today. So we're going to finish up by just coming to an easy or gentle, I should say, hamstring stretch. On the inhale, lift up the arms to the ceiling, take your gaze up towards the sky. And on exhale, start to bend from the hips. Just let your body be heavy. Just fold over. Let gravity do the work here. Just curl your toes in towards your face. If you want to go a bit deeper, you can take your hands either side of your thighs and use the resistance to draw your body forward, or your hands either side of your calves. Or if your feet are there, if you've got the room to grab your feet, take your hands either side of your feet. On the inhale, drawing your shoulders back. So you're aiming to take your chest towards your shin or towards your toes, as opposed to just dropping into the neck. So you're keeping your head up, drawing your toes towards your face, and let your chest come forward. If you want to get a bit deeper, start to engage through your quads to help you find a bit more space in your hamstrings. So draw your quads back away from the knees and release. Start to release the legs, release the feet, and bring your back all the way down to the mat here. If you're in your Ujjayi breath, let your Ujjayi breath go. Let your palms lay either side of your body, removing your obstacles. Perhaps your palms are facing the sky. Your feet are flopping out. Just lift up the neck, bring the chin towards your chest, and then bring the head back down. So as we're lying here along in the neck, just close your eyes and get ready for your Shavasana. Take a deep inhale in and sigh everything out. Let it all go. And relax.
Start to come back into your hands and your feet by bringing gentle movements. So rocking your head from side to side, drawing your knees into your chest. For final hugging, bring your head to your knees. Let's massage out for your lower back for a couple of breaths, taking your feet clockwise and then anti-clockwise. And then rock up into any comfortable seated position. You come cross-legged or come up onto your knees. Bring your hands into your laps. Just sit tall for your spine, long in your neck, roll your shoulders back. Done some good work in your shoulders today. Just keep your hands where they are, bring your hands into prayer. Just close your eyes for a couple of seconds. Again, just give thanks for another week, for turning up and supporting each other on your mat today from afar. And I finish by saying thank you. Thank you for being present. All done. Decided to treat us to a longer Shavasana today. I wasn't falling asleep. I'm sure some of you think that I'm conked out sometimes when I go quiet. But it's all done. Thank you, team Akwaaba Yoga, Sunday Akwaaba Yoga team. Don't know what name we've given ourselves, but yeah, it's another session done and dusted. Slowed down in parts just so that we can feed into the stretch. But hopefully there was also a good element of building strength for the upper body. Thank you, Naomi, for rocking up and supporting as always. Much appreciated. Loving the information you're sharing. I'm doing a lot of learning for your post this month. B, thanks for turning up. Exclusive yoga mats. Working on it still. They will come. Thanks, D-Man. Side plank abs. B and your abs. Thanks again to Queen P. Thank you guys for being present. Again, if you can hit the like button, because that's what you've got to do on social media these days, it seems. That'd be appreciated. Thanks again for supporting online. As always, these classes are free. And yeah, I'm back next week. I'll keep an eye out for the weather. It's looking like rain at the moment, but yeah, we will see one another hopefully at some point. But have a great Sunday. Apparently it's coming home. That's what I heard last night anyway, in the streets of London, streets of South London. Anyway, have a great week and I'll see you next week Sunday. Take care. Bye-bye. Keep the chat going for another 30 seconds or so.